we've had a number of documents from this 2015 defamation case unsealed. Jeffrey Epstein, convicted paedophile, has been dead since 2019. Ghislaine Maxwell serving a 20-year prison sentence for child sex trafficking. How do you think Jeffrey Epstein's victims will be feeling now that all of this is back in the headlines?
Well, I represent 8 victims of Jeffrey Epstein, and we fought for and obtained justice against his estate. We got significant compensation for them. But even though their cases are over and Epstein is dead and Ghislaine Maxwell is in prison, this is not over for them. This is never going to be over for them because victims of sexual abuse face a lifetime of post-traumatic stress, depression, problems in their relationships. And so all of this coming out again in the news is very triggering and upsetting to them. But I will also say that what my clients want is for everything to come out. Let all of this be exposed. Let all of the people who are associated with him have their names come out. It doesn't mean that they are necessarily guilty of anything, but information is power, and we want to know who was connected to this monster.
And of course, lots of names have been associated now with Jeffrey Epstein. It's all coming back up in these court documents. Prince Andrew has mentioned a number of times. As we know, he's been accused of sexually assaulting Virginia Giuffre, which he denies, and touching Johanna Sjoberg's breast. Again, he has denied that in the past. But all of this information has been in the public domain already. But do you think it's another level of seriousness now that it's named in deposition?
I do, because a deposition is a sworn statement under oath. A witness, in this case, some of the victims, they raise their right hand, they swear to tell the truth. These are very important court proceedings. I do depositions all of the time, and people take them very seriously, as they should. They are admissible in court. And it's different than just something you might say in an interview or a social media post. And so these are very, very serious allegations. And now we know that they were made under oath.
So do you think Prince Andrew still has more questions to answer then?
Absolutely. Listen, as I said, some of the bold-faced named people who were associated with him, we can believe maybe didn't know. They say that they didn't know. But Prince Andrew is in a special category because after Jeffrey Epstein was convicted of a sex crime in 2008, Prince Andrew continued to associate with him, including flying from England to New York to personally spend several days with him. So he knew that Jeffrey Epstein was at least convicted of one sex crime, and he continued to associate with him. That has always put Prince Andrew in a special category that deserves special scrutiny. We also now know that there are 2 women who have accused Prince Andrew of sexual misconduct, which really is much stronger than just one woman, Virginia Giuffre, who has long accused him.
So if you were Prince Andrew's lawyer or attorney now, what would you be advising him?
I think it's time for him to come clean and stop hiding behind attorneys and publicists and trying to just keep his head down and live a quiet life, because this is not going away. You know, these victims were very young at the time that they were abused. Many of them were underage girls. They are only now coming into themselves as adult women. And women get stronger as we get older. They are speaking out. Documents are being released that substantiate their claims. It is not going to go away, and I think Prince Andrew should come clean.
And Prince Andrew's been accused in these court documents of having an underage orgy on Jeffrey Epstein's private island, which suggests there are a number of potential alleged victims. What do you think the chances are of one of these alleged victims coming forward with fresh allegations against the prince?
I think the chances are very high because, again, I represent victims of sexual abuse. I've done this for decades, and I know that as years go by, victims finally can find the courage, the resources, the support to come forward. Many people come to me about cases that are 20, 30 years old and say, only now am I really able to talk about this. And so I believe that there are other victims out there who very well may contact me or another attorney in the coming days, months, years, and talk about what happened. Look, the whole purpose of that private island, Little St. James, was for Jeffrey Epstein to be a pedophile and to go after girls and to trap them and to harm them. We know that from multiple victims, including some of my own clients. So I certainly believe that more victims will be coming forward.
Epstein's former lawyer, Alan Dershowitz, said on British radio that the Duke had made a terrible mistake by paying millions of dollars to Virginia Giuffre, his accuser, suggesting that perhaps the late Queen forced him to do so just to kind of make the problem go away, even if he maintained his innocence. What do you make of Dershowitz's comments?
Oh, poor, pitiful Prince Andrew couldn't make his own decisions as a grown man and as a royal. It must be somebody else's fault. It must be his mommy's fault. Give me a break. This is a man who was surrounded by the top lawyers, the top advisors. He made a calculated decision to make the case go away. And he should be held accountable for that. And he should stop blaming other people, stop having his lawyer friends go out there and make statements trying to exonerate him. He's reportedly paid 10 to 12 million pounds. I think we can all understand what that means. It means that he did something wrong, that he has chosen to pay a lot of money to avoid going to trial because going to trial would have been terrible for him.
We're a Republican group in the UK actually reported Andrew to the police here in London, but the police came back to us and said there's no new or relevant information and we're not going to launch an investigation. What do you make of that? Do you think police here in London should launch an investigation around the allegations against made by Virginia Giuffre about having sex with Andrew in a London house?
Absolutely. Listen, people have criticized her for bringing a civil case for money damages, but she has been trying for years to get the criminal authorities to go after him. And, you know, we think about all of the powerful names that are in these documents that were just released. Well, the real import of them is that victims were scared because the powerful protect their own. And I think that is shameful. And the victims have known for years that coming forward would probably produce nothing because Jeffrey Epstein had such powerful friends. And the same goes for Prince Andrew. I think there's a real sense that there's not going to really be justice until the police investigate him. And they absolutely should do that.
Sarah Ransom, Jeffrey Epstein's victim, released a victim impact statement at Maxwell's sentencing hearing. She claims that sex tapes were recorded of Prince Andrew, Bill Clinton, and another very high-profile individual. The New Yorker reported that she admitted to inventing those allegations in 2019, but Sarah has suggested that the reason she retracted on those sex tape claims was because she was threatened. From your experience, were Epstein's victims threatened?
Well, Epstein's victims were definitely threatened and terrified. And again, I represented 8 of them, and they have similar stories. One of the problems with sexual abuse, especially of underage girls, is that victims very typically will come forward with a story, and then they'll retract it, and then they'll come forward again. And generally, in our court system, if somebody retracts a story, it looks as though they're a liar. But it's very different in sexual abuse cases, especially against a powerful person. It's very common for victims to give a story and then take back the story. So the bottom line here is I don't really know what to believe. We have not seen these sex tapes, if they exist. If they do exist, again, let's bring everything out into the light of day. Let's release everything because pedophiles flourish in secrecy. Victims continue to suffer. Let's get it all out. Let's see what there is. At the minimum, she should turn them over to the FBI if she has these tapes and, let the chips fall where they may. If other people are implicated, they should be brought to justice.
Maxwell is, as I'm sure you know, wanting to launch an appeal to get herself out of jail. Her lawyers say that her victims have, and I quote, faded, distorted and motivated memories. What do you make of those comments?
Well, I was there at Ghislaine Maxwell's trial, and her attorneys made all of those arguments, attacked all 4 of the very brave victims who testified against her. And the jury didn't believe in those attacks. The jury actually believed the victims. So they've had their chance. They've litigated it in front of a jury of impartial people. They lost. And that's not going to be an argument that's going to win on appeal. She can make her appeal, but I don't think there's much hope for it.
What I think these documents have shown, the 2015 defamation documents which have been unsealed, it shows that Epstein had a number of very powerful high-profile associates.
Well, I think the important thing about these famous people who are named in these documents is what the victims say, that they were so intimidated by Jeffrey Epstein's powerful friends. He specifically told victims, if you ever speak out against me, I have these powerful friends. Nothing is going to happen to me. He's got friends in high places. He thought the victims wouldn't stand a chance, and they really believed that. And so for years, that was true. Epstein used his money and his power and his connections to silence the victims. So again, let all of the information come out, let the names come out, and if there are credible allegations against any of these additional people, let's get them to justice.
Lisa Bloom, thank you for talking to me.
Thank you.
The Duke of York has always denied the allegations made against him. He made no admission of liability in his out-of-court settlement with Virginia Giuffre. During his 2019 Newsnight interview, he claimed to have visited Epstein post-conviction because he wanted to tell him personally he was cutting off all contact. Prince Andrew told Newsnight he thought it was the honourable thing to do. There is no suggestion Donald Trump's association with Jeffrey Epstein was illicit. The Metropolitan Police said in a statement, "We are aware of the release of court documents in relation to Jeffrey Epstein. As with any matter, should new and relevant information be brought to our attention, we will assess it. No investigation has been launched." The Duke of York's office has been contacted for comment.